Part 1. The Hidden Force Inside You. Hook plus what is the subconscious mind plus conscious versus subconscious. What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, there is something inside you that is more powerful than any technology ever invented, more intelligent than any supercomputer on the planet, and more creative than any artist who has ever lived? What if I told you that this thing has been running your entire life from behind the scenes, silently shaping your decisions, your emotions, your health, your relationships, and yes, even the amount of money sitting in your bank account right now? And what if I told you that 95% of everything you have achieved or failed to achieve in your life so far was not actually decided by you, at least not by the part of you that you think is in control? Stay with me here, because this is not some motivational fluff. This is not a feel-good speech that gives you chills for 10 minutes and then fades away by the time you grab your next cup of coffee. No. What I am about to share with you today has the potential to fundamentally rewire the way you experience life. And I am not exaggerating when I say that. There was a book written decades ago by a man named Dr. Joseph Murphy. This man was not your typical self-help guru. He was a scholar, a researcher, someone who spent years traveling across the world studying ancient wisdom traditions, Eastern philosophies, and the deepest mysteries of the human mind. He lived in India for years, immersing himself in spiritual practices that most Western scientists would not even take seriously. He studied every major belief system he could find. And after all that searching, after all those years of exploration, he arrived at one single conclusion that changed everything. He discovered that there is an immense, almost unbelievable power that exists within every single human being on this planet. It does not matter where you were born. It does not matter what language you speak. It does not matter whether you are rich or poor, educated or uneducated, young or old. This power is inside you right now. It has always been there. And the name he gave to this power was the subconscious mind. Now, before you roll your eyes and think you've heard this before, let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever actually used it? Not just heard about it. Not just nodded your head and said, "Yeah, that sounds cool." Have you ever truly, deliberately, consistently activated the power of your subconscious mind to create real, tangible changes in your life? Because here is the thing most people miss. Knowing about something and actually using it are two completely different worlds. You can know that exercise is good for you and still never go to the gym. You can know that saving money is smart and still blow your paycheck every month. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. And that is where most people get stuck. But not you, not today. Because today you are going to understand this power at a level that most people never reach. And more importantly, you are going to learn exactly how to use it, step by step. No vague philosophy, no abstract theories, real practical techniques that you can start applying tonight before you go to sleep. So let me ask you this. Are you ready? Because once you understand what I am about to explain, there is no going back. You will never see yourself the same way again. Let us start with something simple. Think about a regular nail, just a plain, ordinary iron nail. On its own, it can barely hold two pieces of paper together. It is weak. It is unremarkable. But now take that same nail and wrap a magnetic coil around it. Run an electric current through that coil. What happens? That same weak, ordinary nail suddenly becomes a magnet. It can now lift objects 12, 15, sometimes 20 times its own weight. The nail did not change. The iron is the same, but the invisible force flowing through it transformed everything. You are that nail. Right now, as you are, you might feel ordinary. You might feel stuck. You might feel like no matter how hard you try, life just keeps pushing you back to the same place. But there is an invisible force waiting to flow through you, a force that can transform everything about your reality. That force is your subconscious mind. Now here is what fascinates me. Look around you. Look at the people in your life. Look at the people you follow online, the people you admire, the people who seem to have it all figured out. What separates them from everyone else? It is not talent. Talent is everywhere. It is not luck. Luck is random and unreliable. It is not connections or privilege or any of those external factors that we love to use as excuses. What separates them is something internal, something invisible, something that operates beneath the surface. The people who succeed, who thrive, who build incredible lives, they have a certain kind of inner magnetism. They carry themselves with a quiet certainty. They believe at the deepest possible level that things will work out for them. And because they believe it so deeply, their subconscious mind goes to work making it happen. They do not hope for success. They expect it. They feel it in their bones before it even arrives. And then there is the other group, the people who are always worried, always anxious, always second-guessing themselves, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. These people are not less intelligent. They are not less capable. They are not less deserving. They simply have a different program running in their subconscious. A program of fear, a program of doubt, a program of limitation, and that program creates their reality just as effectively as the program of the successful person creates theirs. So the million-dollar question is this: which program is running inside you right now? Let us go deeper. Let us actually understand what this subconscious mind is and how it connects to the part of your mind that you are using right now to process these words. You have one brain. That is a fact. But within that one brain, there are two distinct operating systems. Think of it like a smartphone. You have the screen that you interact with, the apps you tap, the messages you type. That is the front end. That is what you see and control. But behind that screen, there is a massive operating system running thousands of processes simultaneously, managing your battery, regulating your temperature, connecting to networks, downloading updates. You never see any of that happening, but without it, your phone would be a useless piece of glass and metal. Your conscious mind is the screen. It is the part of you that is reading these words right now. It is the part that makes decisions, analyzes information, forms opinions, and experiences the world through your five senses. It is logical, it is rational, it is where your free will lives. Your subconscious mind is the operating system. It runs everything behind the scenes: your heartbeat, your breathing, your digestion, your immune system, your habits, your emotional reactions, your deeply held beliefs about who you are and what you deserve. It processes millions of bits of information every second without you ever being aware of it. And here is the part that will blow your mind. It is estimated that your conscious mind handles about 5 to 9 pieces of information at any given time. Your subconscious mind It is processing roughly 11 million. Let that sink in for a moment. The part of you that you think is in control is handling less than 1/10 of the information your brain is actually processing. The rest? That is all subconscious. That is all happening beneath the surface outside of your awareness, shaping your reality in ways you cannot even begin to imagine. Now here is where it gets really interesting, and I need you to pay very close attention to this next part because this is the key that unlocks everything. Your conscious mind has one superpower that your subconscious mind does not have. It can choose, it can evaluate, it can say this is true and that is false. This is good and that is bad. This is what I want and that is what I do not want. Your conscious mind is the gatekeeper, it is the filter, it decides what gets through. Your subconscious mind, on the other hand, has a completely different superpower. It creates, it manifests, it turns thoughts into reality. But here is the catch, and this is the most important thing I will say in this entire presentation. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. It cannot distinguish between a truth and a lie. It does not judge. It does not evaluate. It does not question. It simply takes whatever the conscious mind feeds it and says, okay, I will make this happen. Go back and read that again if you need to. Because that single principle is the foundation of everything we are going to discuss today. Your subconscious mind does not care whether a thought is positive or negative, true or false, helpful or destructive. It simply accepts whatever is given to it and goes to work, bringing it into your reality. This is both the most exciting and the most terrifying thing about being human, because it means that every single thought you think, every belief you hold, every word you say to yourself when nobody is listening, all of it is being absorbed by your subconscious mind and turned into the fabric of your life. Let me give you a real example to make this concrete. There was a woman named Priya who worked in marketing at a mid-sized tech company. She was brilliant. Everyone who worked with her knew it. Her ideas were sharp, her presentations were polished, and her work ethic was unmatched. But every single time a promotion opportunity came up, she would freeze. She would start telling herself things like, "They will never pick me. I am not senior enough. Someone else deserves it more. I will just embarrass myself if I go for it." She said these things so often that she did not even notice she was saying them anymore. They had become automatic, like breathing, and her subconscious mind, faithful servant that it is, accepted every single one of those statements as a direct order. It created circumstances that matched her inner dialogue perfectly. She would hesitate in meetings when she should have spoken up. She would downplay her achievements when talking to her manager. She would literally sabotage her own chances without even realizing she was doing it. For 3 years, this went on. 3 years of watching less qualified people get promoted ahead of her. 3 years of quiet frustration and growing resentment. 3 years of blaming the company, her boss, the system, everything and everyone except the real source of the problem, which was the program running in her own subconscious mind. Now, here is the beautiful part of the story. Priya eventually stumbled upon this concept. She read about it in a book, probably similar to the one we are discussing today, and she decided to try something different. Every morning before work, she would sit quietly for 5 minutes and repeat to herself, "I am confident. I am capable. I deserve to be recognized for my work. The right opportunity is coming to me, and I am ready for it. Every night before bed, she would close her eyes and visualize herself sitting in that corner office, shaking hands with her CEO, hearing the words, "Congratulations on your promotion." She did this consistently for about 6 weeks, and then something shifted. She could not explain it logically. Nothing external had changed. Same company, same boss, same colleagues, but she started showing up differently. She spoke with more authority in meetings. She volunteered for high visibility projects. She stopped apologizing for her ideas, and 3 months later, she got the promotion. Not because the universe magically rearranged itself, but because she changed the instruction she was given to her subconscious mind, and her subconscious mind changed her behavior, her energy, her confidence, and ultimately her results. That is the power we are talking about here. That is what happens when you understand and deliberately use this force that has been inside you all along. Now let me share another angle on this to really drive the point home. Think about your mind as a garden, a beautiful, fertile, unlimited garden. You are the gardener, and every thought you think is a seed that you are planting in that garden. Now here's the thing about gardens. They do not judge seeds. A garden does not look at a seed and say, "Oh, this is a weed. I refuse to grow it." No. A garden grows whatever you plant in it, roses or thorns, fruit trees or poison ivy. The garden does not care. It just grows. Your subconscious mind is that garden, and your thoughts are the seeds. If you spend your days planting seeds of fear, doubt, insecurity, anger, and resentment, do not be surprised when your life looks like a field full of weeds. But if you deliberately, consciously, intentionally plant seeds of confidence, gratitude, love, abundance, and possibility, then over time, your life will transform into something so beautiful that it will take your own breath away. But here is what most people get wrong. They plant a positive seed in the morning and then spend the rest of the day pouring negativity all over it. They say their affirmations at 7 a.m. and then spend from 8 a.m. to midnight complaining, worrying, doubting, and fearing. And then they wonder why nothing changes. You cannot plant a rose in the morning and dump toxic waste on it all afternoon and expect it to bloom. Consistency is everything. The seeds you plant most often are the ones that grow. And that brings us to the most important question of all. What seeds are you planting right now? What thoughts are running through your mind on a daily basis? If you could see a transcript of your inner dialogue, your self-talk, the things you say to yourself when nobody else can hear, would you be proud of what you read, or would it break your heart? Because whatever is in that transcript, I promise you, your subconscious mind has been reading every single word, and it has been faithfully, obediently, without question, turning those words into your reality. The good news? You can change the script starting today, starting right now, and that is exactly what we are going to show you how to do as we continue. Part 2, The Captain and the Crew. How your mind really works, how your brain operates, plus the power of repeated thoughts, plus breaking free from mental prisons. Now that you understand the basic structure of your mind, the conscious and the subconscious, let us go even deeper. Because understanding what these two parts are is one thing. Understanding how they interact with each other on a moment-by-moment basis is where the real transformation begins. I want you to imagine something with me. Picture a massive cruise ship. Not just any cruise ship. I'm talking about one of those floating cities that carries 5,000 passengers across the Atlantic Ocean. It has restaurants, swimming pools, theaters, medical facilities, everything. Now this ship has a captain. The captain stands on the bridge at the very top of the vessel. He has a panoramic view of the ocean. He can see the horizon. He can read the weather patterns. He has maps, charts, GPS systems, radar. He decides where the ship goes. He sets the course. He gives the orders. But here's what most people forget. The captain does not actually move the ship. Down below the deck, deep in the belly of this massive vessel, there is an entire team of engineers, dozens of them. They work in the engine room surrounded by turbines, generators, fuel systems, electrical panels, and hydraulic machinery. These engineers cannot see the ocean. They have no windows. They have no idea whether it is day or night outside. They do not know if the weather is calm or if a hurricane is approaching. All they know is what the captain tells them through the intercom. When the captain says full speed ahead, they push the engines to maximum power. When the captain says turn 30 degrees starboard, they adjust the rudder without hesitation. When the captain says reverse engines, they reverse. No questions asked, no debate, no second opinions. They trust the captain completely and execute every single command exactly as it is given. Now here's the critical part. What happens if the captain makes a mistake? What if the captain, for whatever reason, gives the order to steer directly toward an iceberg? Do the engineers refuse? Do they override the command? Do they run up to the bridge and say, "Hey, are you sure about this?" No, they do not. They cannot. That is not their job. Their job is to follow orders. Period. So they steer the ship straight toward the iceberg, and everyone on board suffers the consequences of the captain's poor judgment. This is exactly how your mind works. Your conscious mind is the captain. Your subconscious mind is the engineering crew. And the orders you give through your thoughts, your words, your beliefs, and your habitual mental patterns are the commands that your subconscious crew follows without question, without judgment, and without mercy. Let that imagery sit with you for a moment, because when you truly grasp this metaphor, it changes everything about the way you think about thinking. Every time you say something to yourself, whether out loud or silently in your own head, you are the captain speaking into the intercom, and your subconscious crew is down there in the engine room listening, always listening, ready to execute. They do not evaluate the quality of your orders. They do not have the ability to say, "Hey, Captain, that sounds like a really bad idea." They simply hear the command and go to work making it happen. So when you wake up in the morning and the first thought that crosses your mind is, "Ugh, today is going to be terrible," what do you think your crew does with that? They start adjusting the engines of your reality to match that command. They make you sluggish. They make you irritable. They attract circumstances and interactions that confirm your prediction. By lunchtime, you are sitting there saying, "See, I knew today was going to be awful," completely unaware that you were the one who gave the order in the first place. And it works the other way, too. When you wake up and you say to yourself, "Today is going to be a great day. I am going to make something good happen," your crew hears that command and starts working to bring it into existence. You feel more energized, more alert, more open to opportunities, more resilient when small problems arise. The day unfolds differently, not because the external world changed, but because the captain gave different orders. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Come on, it cannot be that simple. Just thinking positive thoughts is not going to fix my life. And you are partially right. It is not about slapping a smiley face on a bad situation and pretending everything is fine. It is not about toxic positivity or denial. It is about something much deeper and much more powerful than that. It is about the cumulative effect of repeated thought patterns over time. See, your subconscious mind does not respond strongly to a single thought. If you say, "I am wealthy" one time while you are brushing your teeth and then spend the next 16 hours worrying about your credit card bill, nothing is going to change. One whisper does not override 16 hours of screaming. But when you consistently, persistently, repeatedly feed your subconscious mind the same message day after day, week after week, something remarkable begins to happen. Your subconscious mind starts to accept that message as truth. It begins to internalize it. It absorbs it into the very fabric of your belief system. And once a belief takes root in your subconscious, it becomes the operating instruction for your entire life. Your behavior changes. Your habits change. Your energy changes. The way people respond to you changes. Opportunities that were always there but that you could never see suddenly become visible. Doors that seemed locked start opening. And from the outside, it looks like magic. But from the inside, you know exactly what happened. You changed the orders. Let me tell you about a guy named Daniel. Daniel was a freelance graphic designer living in a small apartment in Manchester. He was talented, really talented. The kind of talented where people would see his work and say, "Man, you should be working for a major agency." But Daniel had a problem. Every time he got close to a big opportunity, every time a potential client showed interest or a job interview went well, he would start hearing this voice in his head. "You are not good enough. They are going to find out you are a fraud. There are thousands of designers better than you. You got lucky this time, but your luck is about to run out." Sound familiar? Maybe you have heard a similar voice in your own head. That inner critic that shows up precisely when things are about to go well, like a saboteur who only activates when you are close to the finish line. Daniel heard this voice so often that he stopped even noticing it. It had become the background music of his life. And every time a big opportunity appeared, he would unconsciously find a way to destroy it. He would procrastinate on delivering a project until the client lost patience. He would underprice his work so severely that he could barely pay rent. He would avoid networking events because he convinced himself that he did not belong in those rooms. His subconscious mind had received the order, "You are not good enough," and it was executing that order with brutal efficiency. One evening, Daniel was sitting alone in his apartment eating instant noodles for the third night in a row, staring at his laptop screen, scrolling through the portfolios of designers who were less skilled than him but making 10 times more money. And something inside him finally snapped. Not in a dramatic movie-style way, more like a quiet crack. A moment of absolute clarity where he thought, what if the problem is not my talent? What if the problem is what I keep telling myself about my talent? That question changed his life. Not immediately, not overnight, but it set him on a path that transformed everything over the course of several months. Here is what Daniel did. He started small. Every morning when he woke up, before he checked his phone, before he looked at emails, before he did anything else, he would sit on the edge of his bed and say 5 statements out loud. I am an exceptional designer. My work creates real value for my clients. I deserve to be well paid for my skills. The right clients are looking for exactly what I offer. I am building a career that I am proud of. He felt ridiculous the first time he did it. He felt like he was lying to himself. And in a way, he was, because at that moment, his reality did not match those statements at all. He was broke, underemployed, and eating noodles. But remember what we discussed in the previous section. Your subconscious mind does not evaluate whether a statement is currently true. It simply receives the instruction and starts working to make it true. So Daniel kept going. Every morning, 5 statements, out loud. And every night before bed, he added a second practice. He would close his eyes and spend 3 minutes visualizing a specific scene. He pictured himself sitting in a beautiful studio, working on a project for a brand he admired, looking at his bank account and seeing a number that made him smile. He tried to feel the emotions of that scene, the pride, the satisfaction, the peace of knowing that he had built something real. For the first 2 weeks, nothing changed externally. He still had the same clients, the same income, the same apartment, but something was shifting internally. The voice of the inner critic was getting quieter, not gone, but quieter, like someone was slowly turning down the volume on a radio. By week 4, Daniel noticed that he was behaving differently, without consciously trying to. He replied to a freelance job posting that he normally would have ignored because the client seemed too big and prestigious. He quoted a price that was 3 times higher than what he usually charged. He attended a local design meetup and actually introduced himself to people instead of standing in the corner pretending to check his phone. By week 8, Daniel had landed 2 new clients who were paying him more than his previous 5 clients combined. By week 12, he had been invited to speak at a regional design conference. By month 6, he had moved into a proper studio apartment and was turning down work because his calendar was full. Did the universe magically rearrange itself for Daniel? No. Did some fairy godmother wave a wand and sprinkle opportunities on his doorstep? No. What happened was much more elegant and much more powerful than that. Daniel changed the commands he was given to the crew in the engine room, and the crew, obedient as always, adjusted the course of his ship accordingly. Now, let me address something important here, because I do not want you to misunderstand what I am saying. I am not telling you that positive thinking alone will solve all your problems. I am not saying that you can sit on your couch, repeat some nice words, and money will rain from the sky. That is not how this works. What I'm saying is that the thoughts you think and the beliefs you hold determine the actions you take, the energy you carry, and the way you show up in every area of your life. And those things determine your results. Your subconscious mind does not just sit around thinking happy thoughts. It drives behavior. It shapes your habits. It controls the tiny micro decisions you make hundreds of times a day without even thinking about them. Should I apply for that job? Should I talk to that person? Should I invest in that course? Should I wake up early and work on my side project or hit snooze for the 5th time? All of these decisions are influenced, often dominated, by the programming in your subconscious mind. And here is where it gets even more serious. Your subconscious mind does not just influence your mental and emotional state, it affects your physical body as well. There have been countless studies showing that chronic negative thinking, stress, worry, and fear literally change the chemistry of your body. They increase cortisol levels, suppress your immune system, elevate your blood pressure, disrupt your sleep, accelerate aging, and create inflammation that leads to disease. Your body is listening to your thoughts every single second of every single day, and it is responding accordingly. Think about a time when you were lying in bed at night worrying about something. Maybe a deadline at work. Maybe a difficult conversation you needed to have. Maybe a financial problem that felt overwhelming. Remember what happened to your body? Your heart started beating faster. Your muscles tensed up. Your breathing became shallow. Your stomach might have felt tight or nauseous. You were lying in a perfectly safe, comfortable bed, and yet your body was reacting as if you were being chased by a predator. Why? Because your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. The worry in your conscious mind sent a signal to the crew, and the crew responded by flooding your body with stress hormones, preparing you for danger that existed only in your imagination. Now multiply that experience by 365 days a year. Multiply it by 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Is it any wonder that so many people are exhausted, sick, anxious, and depressed? They have been giving their body the order to prepare for disaster every single day for decades. But flip that script. What happens when you fill your conscious mind with peace, gratitude, confidence, and calm? Your body receives a completely different set of instructions. Cortisol goes down. Serotonin goes up. Your immune system strengthens. Your sleep improves. Your digestion normalizes. Your muscles relax. You literally become a healthier, younger, more vibrant version of yourself, not because you took some magic pill, but because you changed the orders you were giving to the crew. This is not wishful thinking. This is biology. This is neuroscience. This is the documented, measurable, repeatable effect of your mental patterns on your physical reality. So let me bring this all together for you. Right now, in this moment, you are the captain of an incredibly powerful ship. Your subconscious crew is standing by, waiting for orders. They will take you anywhere you want to go. They will help you build anything you want to build. They will create any reality you command them to create, but they need clear, consistent, repeated instructions. If your instructions have been negative, fearful, limiting, and self-defeating up until now, that is okay. There is no judgment here. Most of us were never taught how to use this system properly. We grew up absorbing the fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs of the people around us, our parents, our teachers, our peers, our culture, and those absorbed beliefs became our default programming. But default programming can be overwritten. Old orders can be replaced with new ones, and the moment you start giving new orders, your crew begins steering your ship in a new direction. The question is not whether this works. The question is whether you are willing to do it consistently enough and long enough to see results. Because here is what separates the people who transform their lives from the people who just think this is interesting information. The people who transform are the ones who commit. They commit to changing their inner dialogue. They commit to monitoring their thoughts. They commit to showing up every single day, even when it feels pointless, even when nothing seems to be changing, even when that stubborn inner critic is screaming louder than ever. They keep going. They keep planting those seeds. They keep giving those orders to the crew, and eventually something shifts. The ship turns. The garden blooms. The life transforms. And it will happen for you too, if you let it. Part 3. The Miracle Machine. Unlocking what your subconscious can actually do. The miraculous power of your subconscious. Plus the sleep technique, plus the 21-day principle, plus ancient healing and the belief system. All right, so now you understand the structure. You know you have a captain and a crew. You know that the crew follows every order without question. You know that the quality of your life is directly determined by the quality of the commands you are giving. But here is where things start to get really wild. Because we have only scratched the surface of what your subconscious mind is actually capable of doing. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had to wake up extremely early for something important? Maybe you had a flight to catch at 5 in the morning. Maybe you had an exam. Maybe you had to drive someone to the airport or show up for a job interview in another city. You set your alarm for 4:30, maybe even set 2 or 3 alarms just to be safe, and then you went to bed. But here is what happened. You woke up at 4:27. 3 minutes before the alarm, your eyes just opened. No grogginess, no confusion, just awake, alert, ready. Why did that happen? You did not have some magical internal alarm clock built into your DNA. What happened was much simpler and much more profound. When you went to bed that night, you gave your subconscious mind a clear instruction. I need to wake up at 4:30. That is all it took. One clear command. And your subconscious mind, that incredible, faithful crew working below deck, processed that command and executed it with precision that would make a Swiss watchmaker jealous. Now stop and really think about what that means. Your subconscious mind tracked the passage of time while you were completely unconscious, while your conscious mind was shut down, while you were dreaming about who knows what. Your subconscious was counting the minutes, monitoring the hours, and it woke you up at exactly the right moment. If it can do something that precise, that sophisticated, while you are literally asleep, what do you think it can do when you give it bigger, more ambitious, more meaningful commands? This is the part that most people never explore. They accept that the subconscious mind handles basic functions like breathing and heart rate and maybe waking up before an alarm. But they never take the leap to understand that this same mechanism can be used to achieve goals, solve complex problems, attract opportunities, heal the body, and create circumstances that seem almost impossibly fortunate. One of the most brilliant psychologists in American history, a man named William James, once made a statement that has echoed through the decades. He said that the power to move the world lies within the subconscious mind, not in your muscles, not in your connections, not in your bank account, in your subconscious mind. And he was not speaking metaphorically. He meant it literally. Whatever you manage to imprint deeply enough into your subconscious mind, your subconscious will move heaven and earth to bring it into your reality. It does not care how impossible it seems. It does not care how unlikely the odds are. It does not care what other people think is realistic. It simply takes the instruction and starts working. So the obvious next question is how? How do you imprint something into your subconscious mind deeply enough to activate this incredible power? The answer lies in one of the most overlooked moments of your day, a moment that most people completely waste, a moment that, if used correctly, can become the single most transformative practice in your entire life. That moment is the last 5 minutes before you fall asleep. Here is why this matters so much. Throughout the day, your conscious mind is active, alert, and critically evaluating everything. It is the gatekeeper, remember? It filters information, judges ideas, questions statements, and pushes back against anything that contradicts your current beliefs. This is why repeating affirmations during the middle of a busy workday often feels forced and ineffective. Your conscious gatekeeper is standing there with its arms crossed saying, "Yeah, right. You are not rich. Look at your bank statement." But right before you fall asleep, something magical happens. Your conscious mind starts to power down. The gatekeeper gets drowsy. The critical filter becomes thin, almost transparent. And in that twilight state between wakefulness and sleep, your subconscious mind is wide open, exposed, receptive. Whatever thoughts and images you feed it in those precious minutes go straight in, unfiltered, unchallenged, and deeply absorbed. This is why the last thing you think about before sleep is so incredibly important. If you fall asleep watching the news, your subconscious absorbs fear, conflict, and negativity. If you fall asleep scrolling through social media comparing yourself to other people, your subconscious absorbs inadequacy and envy. If you fall asleep replaying an argument with your partner or worrying about a deadline, your subconscious absorbs stress and anxiety. And then it processes all of that while you sleep, weaving it into your belief system, reinforcing the neural pathways of fear and limitation, and you wake up the next morning feeling heavy, drained, and unmotivated without understanding why. But what if you deliberately use those last 5 minutes for something different? What if, instead of poisoning your subconscious with negativity, you fed it exactly what you wanted it to create? Here is a technique that is so simple you might be tempted to dismiss it. Please do not make that mistake. The most powerful things in life are often the simplest. Every night before you go to sleep, lie down comfortably, close your eyes, take 3 slow, deep breaths. Let your body relax completely. Let the tension drain from your shoulders, your jaw, your hands. Feel yourself sinking into the mattress. And then, in that beautiful, relaxed state, start giving your subconscious mind its orders for the night. You can do this in 2 ways. The first is verbal. You simply repeat a statement that represents what you want to achieve or become. Not a wish, not a hope. A statement of fact spoken in the present tense as if it is already true. I am confident and capable. I am attracting abundance into my life. My body is healthy and strong. I am becoming more successful every single day. I am worthy of love and respect. Choose 1 or 2 statements that resonate with your deepest desires and repeat them slowly, calmly, with feeling. Not like a robot, not like you are reading a grocery list. Say them as if you genuinely mean them, as if they are already true. Let the words sink in. Feel them in your chest. Repeat them 5 to 10 times, and then let yourself drift off to sleep with those words echoing softly in your mind. The second method is visual. Instead of words, you use images. You close your eyes and you construct a vivid mental movie of the reality you want to create. If you want a promotion, see yourself in that new office. See the nameplate on the door. See your colleagues congratulating you. Feel the handshake. Hear the words. If you want financial freedom, see yourself looking at your bank balance and smiling. See yourself paying bills without anxiety. See yourself booking that trip you have always wanted to take. Make the images as detailed and as emotionally charged as possible. The key to both methods is feeling. Your subconscious mind responds to emotion far more than it responds to words or images alone. When you combine a clear mental picture with a strong positive emotion, you create a signal so powerful that your subconscious cannot ignore it. It is like the difference between whispering an order to the crew and shouting it through a megaphone. Now here is where discipline comes in, and I need to be completely honest with you about this because I do not want to sell you a fairy tale. This technique works, but it does not work after one night, or 2 nights, or even a week. Think about it this way. You have spent years, maybe decades, programming your subconscious mind with negative beliefs and limiting thoughts. You cannot overwrite all of that in a single evening. It would be like trying to redirect a river with a single shovel of dirt. It takes time. It takes consistency. It takes patience. The general principle that many researchers and practitioners reference is 21 days. 21 days of consistent, deliberate nightly practice to begin forming a new neural pathway, to begin planting a seed deep enough that it takes root. 21 days is not a magic number. It is a minimum. For some deeply ingrained beliefs, it might take longer. But 21 days of committed practice is enough to create a noticeable shift in how you feel, how you think, and how you show up in the world. Let me tell you what this looked like for a woman named Amara. Amara was a 32-year-old nurse working night shifts at a hospital in Birmingham. She loved her work, but she was exhausted all the time, not just physically exhausted, but emotionally and spiritually drained. She felt like she was running on empty, giving everything she had to her patients and having nothing left for herself. She had gained weight. Her relationship was suffering. She had stopped doing all the things she used to enjoy. She described herself as feeling like a candle that was burning from both ends and was almost out of wax. A friend recommended that she try the sleep technique. Amara was skeptical. She was a medical professional. She believed in evidence, in data, in clinical trials. The idea of talking to herself before bed sounded absurd. But she was also desperate, and desperate people are often the most willing to try something new. So she started. Every night after her shift, after she showered and crawled into bed, she would close her eyes and repeat 5 statements. I am full of energy. My body is healing and regenerating. I am at peace. I am strong. Tomorrow is going to be a beautiful day. She said them slowly, trying to believe them, even though every muscle in her body was screaming the opposite. For the first week, she felt nothing, absolutely nothing. She almost quit on day 6. But something stubborn inside her said, keep going. Just finish the 21 days and then decide. Week 2 was different. She noticed that she was falling asleep faster. The racing thoughts that usually kept her up for an hour after her shift were quieter. She was sleeping deeper. She woke up feeling slightly less exhausted, not energized, not transformed, just slightly less depleted. It was a small change, but it was something. Week 3 is when things really started to shift. Amara woke up one morning and realized she had gone an entire day without feeling resentful or drained. She caught herself humming in the shower. Humming. She had not done that in years. She looked in the mirror, and for the first time in a long time, she did not hate what she saw. She saw tiredness, yes, but she also saw something else. She saw someone who was trying, someone who was fighting for herself, and that made her feel proud. By the end of the first month, Amara had lost 4 pounds without changing her diet. She had started going for walks on her days off. She had initiated a real conversation with her partner about their relationship, something she had been avoiding for months. She was not a different person. She was the same Amara, but she was running different software. The crew in her engine room had received new orders, and they were steering her ship in a new direction. Now, I want to take you in what might seem like a completely different direction, but trust me, it connects to everything we have been discussing. I want to talk about healing, physical healing, and specifically, I want to talk about something that happened thousands of years ago that most modern scientists would dismiss as superstition, but that actually reveals one of the deepest truths about the subconscious mind. In ancient civilizations, long before hospitals and pharmaceutical companies and MRI machines, people still got sick, and people still got healed. But the healing did not come from pills or surgeries. It came from priests, shamans, healers, and spiritual leaders. These individuals were believed to have special powers granted by the divine. They used rituals, chants, sacred objects, amulets, and symbolic ceremonies to treat the sick. And here's the thing that fascinates me. It worked. People actually got better. Documented cases throughout history show that people with serious ailments were brought to these healers and walked away cured. Paralysis reversed. Chronic pain vanished. Fevers broke. Wounds healed faster than expected. Now, the obvious modern reaction is to say, well, those people were naive. They did not understand science. They were tricked by charlatans and con artists, and sure, some of that probably happened. But to dismiss the entire phenomenon as fraud would be intellectually lazy, because something real was happening in those healing ceremonies, something powerful, something that modern science is only now beginning to understand. What was happening was the activation of the subconscious mind through belief. Think about it from the patient's perspective. You are living in ancient times. You are sick. You are scared. You do not understand what is wrong with your body, but you believe with every fiber of your being that the priest in your village has been given the power to heal by God. This is not a casual belief. This is deep, unshakable, culturally reinforced faith. Everyone around you believes it. Your parents believed it. Their parents believed it. It is woven into the fabric of your entire reality. So when you are brought before this priest and he performs his ritual, places his hands on your head, chants his sacred words, and tells you that you are healed, what happens inside you? Your conscious mind, which fully believes in this priest's power, sends a thundering command to your subconscious mind. I am healed. The disease is leaving my body. The priest has cured me. And your subconscious mind, which, as we have established, does not question or evaluate commands, receives that instruction and goes to work. It mobilizes your immune system. It redirects energy to the damaged areas of your body. It reduces stress hormones that were suppressing your natural healing ability. It activates biological repair processes that were lying dormant. And the person gets better, not because of the amulet, not because of the chant, not because of any external magical force, but because their own subconscious mind, activated by deep, genuine belief, initiated a healing response from within. This is what modern medicine calls the placebo effect. And far from being a curiosity or a footnote in medical textbooks, the placebo effect is one of the most powerful and well-documented phenomena in all of science. In clinical trials, patients who are given sugar pills that they believe are real medication routinely show significant improvement, not just in subjective measures like pain perception, but in objective, measurable, biological outcomes. Blood pressure drops, inflammation decreases, immune markers improve. In some studies, the placebo performs nearly as well as the actual drug being tested. And every time scientists encounter this, they are essentially witnessing the power of the subconscious mind in action. The patient believes the pill will work. That belief is imprinted on the subconscious. The subconscious activates the body's natural healing systems, and the body heals. Now here is what I want you to take away from this. If your subconscious mind is powerful enough to heal physical diseases, to reverse paralysis, to cure chronic pain, to improve measurable biological markers, all through belief alone, then what else is it capable of doing in your life? If belief can heal the body, can it also heal your finances? Can it heal your relationships? Can it heal your career? Can it heal the deep emotional wounds that you have been carrying around for years, the rejection, the abandonment, the failure, the shame? The answer, and I want you to hear this clearly, is yes. Absolutely, unequivocally, yes. But the belief has to be real. It has to be deep. It cannot be surface level. You cannot just mouth the words and expect miracles. The ancient patients were not pretending to believe in their healers. They believed with their entire being. And that is the level of conviction that activates the full power of the subconscious mind. This is why the nightly practice we discussed is so important. Repetition builds belief. You may not believe your affirmation the first time you say it, or the 10th time, or the 50th time, but somewhere around the 150th time, something shifts. The words stop feeling foreign. They start feeling familiar, then comfortable, then true. And once they feel true, once you believe them, not just intellectually, but emotionally and physically, that is when the subconscious kicks into high gear and starts rearranging your reality. Now let me connect all of this back to you, sitting here right now, reading or listening to these words. You have inside you the same power that healed people in ancient temples, the same power that makes placebos work in modern hospitals, the same power that woke you up 3 minutes before your alarm, the same power that drove Amara from exhaustion to renewal, that took Daniel from eating instant noodles to running a thriving studio, that lifted Priya from being overlooked to being promoted. That power is not somewhere out there. It is not in a book. It is not in a seminar. It is not in someone else's hands. It is in you. It has always been in you, and the only thing standing between you and the full activation of that power is the quality of the instructions you are giving it. So tonight, when you lay your head on that pillow, I want you to try something. Just try it. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and give your subconscious mind one clear, positive, emotionally charged command. Just one. The one thing you want most in your life right now. Say it as if it is already real. Feel it as if it has already happened. And then let sleep carry that instruction deep into the most powerful part of your mind. Do it tonight. Do it tomorrow night. Do it for 21 nights. And then come back and tell me nothing changed. I dare you. Part 4. The Doctor Within. Modern Healing and Getting the Results You Want. Mental Healing in the Modern Age, plus the Science of Belief, plus Cell Regeneration, plus how to get the results you desire. So we have talked about ancient healers and the incredible thing that happened when people believed deeply enough in the power of those rituals. But I do not want you to think this is just some relic of the past, some quaint historical curiosity that has no relevance to your modern life. Because what happened in those ancient temples is still happening right now. Today, in hospitals, clinics, and doctors' offices all around the world, the setting has changed, the language has changed, the costumes have changed, but the underlying mechanism is exactly the same. Let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates this. There was a neurologist in Boston named Dr. Eleanor Vance. She had been practicing for over 20 years and had seen thousands of patients walk through her door with every kind of neurological condition imaginable. Tremors, chronic pain syndromes, speech disorders, mobility issues. She was brilliant, well-respected, and thoroughly committed to evidence-based medicine. She did not believe in anything she could not measure, test, and replicate in a controlled environment. But one particular case changed the way she thought about healing forever. A man in his mid-40s came to her clinic. His name was Thomas. He had been suffering from a severe tremor in his right hand for almost 2 years. It had started gradually and progressively gotten worse until he could barely hold a cup of coffee without spilling it. He had been to 3 other specialists before Dr. Vance. He had tried medications, physical therapy, and even considered surgery. Nothing worked. By the time he sat in her office, he was defeated. You could see it in his eyes. That hollow, resigned look of someone who has stopped expecting good news. Dr. Vance examined him thoroughly. She reviewed his medical history, ran tests, and confirmed what the other doctors had found. There was no clear structural cause for the tremor, no tumor, no degenerative disease, no nerve damage. The tremor was real, it was measurable, it was debilitating, but its origin was a mystery. Now, here's where the story gets interesting. Dr. Vance had recently been reading about a series of experiments involving what researchers call open-label placebos. These are studies where patients are given a sugar pill and explicitly told that it is a sugar pill with no active ingredients. But they are also told that research shows placebos can activate the body's natural healing processes. In other words, the patients know they are getting a fake pill, and it still works. This had fascinated Dr. Vance because it challenged everything she had been taught in medical school. She decided to try something unconventional with Thomas. She sat him down and said, "I want to try a new approach with you. I am going to give you a device that I want you to wear on your wrist for 30 minutes every morning. It generates a specific electromagnetic frequency that has shown promise in neurological cases like yours. I believe it may help you." Now here is what actually happened. The device she gave him was a simple fitness tracker. a basic wristband that measured steps and heart rate. It had absolutely no therapeutic capability whatsoever. It could not generate electromagnetic frequencies. It could not treat tremors. It was a $40 gadget from an electronics store. But Thomas did not know that, and Dr. Vance, who was carefully monitoring the ethical boundaries of what she was doing, had chosen her words precisely. She said the device has shown promise. She said, I believe it may help you. She never explicitly lied about what the device was, but she created a context of belief. She gave Thomas something to believe in, and more importantly, she gave him a credible authority figure herself who appeared to believe in it too. Thomas went home and dutifully wore the device every morning for 30 minutes. He sat quietly, focused on the sensation of the band on his wrist, and told himself that the electromagnetic frequencies were calming his nervous system and reducing his tremor. He did this every single day for 3 weeks. When he came back for his follow-up appointment, Dr. Vance could see the change before he even sat down. His hand was steady, not perfect, but dramatically improved. The tremor that had made it impossible for him to hold a coffee cup had reduced by roughly 70%. Thomas was emotional. He grabbed her hand with his now steady right hand and said, "Doctor, that device saved my life." Dr. Vance sat with that moment for a long time afterward, because she knew that the device had done nothing, absolutely nothing. The healing had come entirely from within Thomas. His conscious mind had accepted the belief that the device would work. That belief had been transmitted to his subconscious mind, and his subconscious mind had initiated a neurological healing response that 3 specialists and multiple medications had failed to produce. Now, before you think this is an isolated incident or some kind of medical anomaly, let me tell you that stories like this are documented by the thousands in medical literature. The details change, but the pattern is always the same. A patient believes they are receiving effective treatment. That belief penetrates the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind activates healing mechanisms that defy conventional medical explanation. There was a woman in her 20s who had lost her voice completely after a traumatic emotional event. She had not spoken a word in 6 weeks. Doctors confirmed that her vocal cords were physically healthy. There was no structural reason for the silence. A creative physician told her that he had a new treatment involving a mild electrical stimulation that would reactivate her vocal cords. He placed 2 small adhesive pads on her throat, connected them to a machine with blinking lights, and pressed a button. The machine was a prop. It did nothing. But the doctor, with absolute conviction in his voice, said, "Now, try to say the letter A." She did. Then B, then a full word, then a sentence. Within 20 minutes, she was speaking normally. Her voice had returned, not because of electricity, not because of any external intervention, because her subconscious mind received the instruction she is healed and executed it. These stories should not surprise you at this point. They are the logical consequence of everything we have discussed. Your subconscious mind does not differentiate between a real treatment and a perceived treatment. It responds to belief. It responds to conviction. It responds to the emotional certainty that something is true. And this has staggering implications for your life that go far beyond medicine. If your subconscious mind can reduce a neurological tremor by 70% based on a false belief about a fitness tracker, what could it do if you gave it a true belief about your own potential? If the placebo effect can restore a lost voice in 20 minutes, what could genuine, deep, sustained faith in yourself restore in 21 days? In 6 months? In a year? The power that healed Thomas and restored that young woman's voice is the same power that is inside you right now. The same crew, the same engine room, the same faithful, unquestioning subconscious mind waiting for orders. Now let me share something with you that will add another layer to your understanding. This is a scientific fact that most people are not aware of, and when they hear it, it changes the way they think about themselves permanently. Your body is not a fixed, static object. It is a living, constantly regenerating organism. Every single day, millions of cells in your body die and are replaced by new ones. Your stomach lining replaces itself every 3 to 4 days. Your skin regenerates completely every 2 to 3 weeks. Your red blood cells are entirely replaced every 4 months. Your liver regenerates in about 6 months. And here is the most astonishing part. In approximately 11 months, virtually every cell in your entire body has been replaced. The body you are sitting in right now is almost entirely different from the body you were sitting in a year ago. Think about what that means. From a purely biological standpoint, you are less than a year old. The physical you, the flesh and bone and tissue you, is brand new. So if your body is constantly rebuilding itself, constantly creating fresh cells, then why do chronic problems persist? Why does the back pain that started 3 years ago still bother you today if every cell in your back has been replaced multiple times since then? Why does the anxiety that began in college still grip you if your brain cells have regenerated since then? The answer is your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is the blueprint. It is the architectural plan that your body follows when it builds new cells. And if that blueprint contains instructions for pain, for tension, for anxiety, for disease, then every new cell that is created will be built according to those instructions. Your body keeps rebuilding the same problems because your subconscious mind keeps giving it the same blueprint. But what happens when you change the blueprint? What happens when you reprogram your subconscious mind with instructions for health, vitality, energy, and wholeness? Your body starts building new cells according to the new plan. The pain begins to fade. The tension starts to release. The anxiety loses its grip. Not because you found the right medication or the right doctor, but because you changed the instructions that your body was following. This is why the work we are doing here is not just mental or emotional. It is physical. It is biological. When you reprogram your subconscious mind, you are literally changing the way your body rebuilds itself at the cellular level. You are not just thinking your way to a better life. You are thinking your way to a better body. Now let me address something that I know many of you are thinking. How long does this take? When will I see results? I tried positive thinking before and nothing happened. Why should this time be different? These are fair questions, and I want to give you an honest answer. The reason most people fail with subconscious reprogramming is not that the technique does not work. It is that they sabotage themselves in one of 3 ways. The first way is inconsistency. They do the nightly practice for 3 or 4 days, get excited, then skip a day, then skip another. then forget about it entirely. Remember the garden metaphor? You cannot water a seed for 3 days and then abandon it and expect a tree to grow. The subconscious mind responds to sustained, repeated input. Sporadic effort produces sporadic results, which is to say, no results at all. The second way people sabotage themselves is contradiction. They spend 5 minutes before bed saying, "I am confident and successful," and then spend the entire next day saying, "I am such a failure, I will never figure this out. Nothing works for me." This is like planting a flower in the morning and pouring bleach on it in the afternoon. The negative input overwhelms the positive input because it is more frequent and more emotionally charged. Your subconscious mind does not average out your thoughts. It responds to dominance. Whichever thought pattern is most frequent and most emotionally intense is the one that wins. The third way people sabotage themselves is impatience. They expect instant results. They do the practice for a week, and when their life has not transformed by day 8, they declare it does not work and give up. But think about this. If you went to the gym for 1 week and did not have a six-pack by day 8, would you say exercise does not work? Of course not. You would understand that physical transformation takes time, consistency, and progressive effort. Mental and subconscious transformation works the same way. The changes are happening beneath the surface long before they become visible on the surface. I want to use an analogy here that I think will really help this click for you. Imagine you plant a bamboo seed. You water it, you fertilize it, you make sure it gets sunlight. For the first year, nothing happens above ground. Nothing. You see no sprout, no stem, no leaf, just dirt. For the second year, same thing. Nothing. Third year, still nothing visible. Fourth year, you're starting to wonder if you planted a dud. And then in the 5th year, the bamboo shoot breaks through the surface and grows 90 feet in 6 weeks. Now here's a question. Did the bamboo grow 90 feet in 6 weeks? Or did it grow 90 feet in 5 years? The answer, obviously, is 5 years. For 4 years, it was growing underground, building a massive root system, developing a foundation so strong and so deep that when it finally emerged, it could grow with explosive speed and withstand any storm. Your subconscious reprogramming works the same way. For the first few weeks, maybe even months, you might not see dramatic external changes, but beneath the surface, deep inside your mind, a new root system is being built. New neural pathways are forming. Old limiting beliefs are being loosened and weakened. A new foundation is being laid. And when the breakthrough finally comes, and it will come if you stay consistent, it will seem sudden and miraculous to everyone around you. But you will know the truth. It was not sudden at all. It was years, months, weeks of quiet, unseen, underground growth finally breaking through to the surface. So let us talk practically about how to get the results you want. Because understanding the theory is great, but you need a method you can actually follow. The most effective time to engage your subconscious mind, as we have discussed, is in those moments right before sleep and right after waking. These are the golden windows. The gatekeepers are off duty. The doorway to your subconscious is wide open. But there is a third window that most people do not know about. And this one is incredibly powerful. It is the window of emotional intensity. Whenever you are in a state of heightened emotion, whether positive or negative, your subconscious mind is more receptive than usual. Think about it. The memories you remember most vividly from your entire life are almost always attached to intense emotions. Your wedding day, the birth of your child, a devastating loss, a moment of triumph, a moment of terrible fear. These memories are burned into your mind not because of the events themselves, but because of the emotions you felt during those events. Emotion is the express lane to the subconscious. This is why visualization without emotion is relatively weak. If you close your eyes and picture yourself being successful but you feel nothing, the impact is minimal. But if you close your eyes and picture yourself succeeding and you actually feel the pride, the joy, the relief, the excitement, then you are sending a turbocharged signal directly into your subconscious mind. So here's the practical method. I call it the 3-window technique. Window 1 is the morning. Within the first 5 minutes of waking up, before you check your phone, before you engage with the world, sit or lie still and repeat your chosen affirmation 3 to 5 times with genuine feeling. Set the tone for the day. Give the crew their first orders. Window 2 is bedtime, as we have already discussed. In those drowsy moments before sleep, repeat your affirmation or run your visualization 5 to 10 times. Let it be the last thing your subconscious hears before you drift off. Window 3 is any moment of intense positive emotion during the day. Maybe you receive good news. Maybe you have a great workout. Maybe you share a beautiful moment with someone you love. Maybe you accomplish something you are proud of. In those moments, when your heart is full and your energy is high, silently repeat your affirmation. Ride the emotional wave. Let that positive emotion carry your words deep into your subconscious mind. 3 windows: morning, night, and emotion. Use all 3 consistently, and you will be astonished at how quickly things begin to shift. And here is one more technique that is incredibly effective and almost nobody talks about it. If you have a specific problem in your life, something you have been struggling with, something you cannot figure out, try this. Before you go to sleep, clearly state the problem to your subconscious mind. Not with anxiety, not with frustration, just calmly, clearly, as if you are handing a task to a brilliant assistant. Say, I need a solution to this problem. I trust my subconscious mind to find the answer. I will wake up with clarity. And then let it go. Do not try to solve the problem consciously. Just sleep. Your subconscious mind will work on it all night. It will sort through every piece of information you have ever absorbed, make connections your conscious mind could never make, and present you with an answer. Sometimes it comes as a clear thought when you wake up. Sometimes it comes as an insight during your morning shower. Sometimes it comes as a sudden knowing in the middle of the day. But it comes. It always comes. You just have to trust the process and give it space to work. You have a doctor inside you, a healer, a problem solver, a miracle worker. It has been there your entire life, waiting patiently for you to stop ignoring it and start giving it something meaningful to do. Tonight, give it something meaningful. Give it your biggest dream, your deepest desire, your most persistent problem. Hand it over. And then watch what happens. Part 5. The Wealth. Blueprint. Reprogramming your mind for abundance. Wealth consciousness plus money and the subconscious plus the royal road to riches plus why people stay poor plus your attitude toward the wealthy. All right, let us talk about money. And I mean really talk about it. Not the surface level stuff you hear everywhere. Not the generic save more, spend less. invest early advice that you have probably heard 1,000 times already. I want to talk about something much deeper, something that determines your financial reality long before any budget or investment strategy ever comes into play. I want to talk about your relationship with money. And more specifically, I want to talk about what your subconscious mind believes about money. Because here is a truth that very few people are willing to accept. Your bank account is a mirror. It is a direct reflection of the beliefs, thoughts, and emotional associations that are stored in your subconscious mind about wealth, money, and your own worthiness to have it. That might sting a little. It stung me the first time I heard it because it is much easier to blame the economy, or your boss, or your industry, or the city you live in, or the family you were born into. It is much more comfortable to point at external factors and say, that is why I am not where I want to be financially. And look, I am not dismissing those factors. They are real. Systemic barriers exist. Economic conditions matter. Starting points are not equal. All of that is true. But here is what is also true. Within whatever circumstances you find yourself in right now, there is a range of financial outcomes available to you. And where you land within that range is largely determined by what is happening inside your mind. Two people can start in the exact same circumstances, same city, same education level, same industry, same starting salary, and end up in wildly different financial positions 10 years later. The external factors were identical. The difference was internal. So let us explore what is going on internally when it comes to your finances. Think back to your childhood for a moment. What did you hear about money growing up? Not what you were taught in school, but what you absorbed at home, at the dinner table, in whispered arguments between your parents when they thought you were asleep. What were the messages? For many people, the messages sounded something like this. Money does not grow on trees. We cannot afford that. Rich people are greedy. Money is the root of all evil. You have to work hard for every penny. People like us do not get rich. Be grateful for what you have and do not ask for more. Sound familiar? These statements, repeated hundreds or thousands of times throughout your childhood, did not just pass through your ears and disappear. They sank into your subconscious mind and formed your wealth blueprint. Your subconscious absorbed every single one of those messages and filed them under the category of truth. And from that point forward, it has been operating according to that blueprint, creating a financial reality that matches those deeply held beliefs. If your blueprint says money is hard to get, your subconscious will create circumstances that make money hard to get. If your blueprint says rich people are dishonest, your subconscious will make sure you never become one of those dishonest people by keeping you away from wealth. If your blueprint says people like us do not get rich, your subconscious will sabotage every opportunity that threatens to make you rich. Because getting rich would contradict the blueprint. It would violate the program. And the subconscious mind protects the program above all else. This is why so many people who win the lottery end up broke within a few years. Their external circumstances changed dramatically, but their internal blueprint did not change at all. Their subconscious mind looked at all that money and said, this does not match the program. People like us do not have this much money. Something is wrong. Fix it. And so it drove them to make terrible financial decisions, to spend recklessly, to trust the wrong people, to invest in disasters, until their external reality matched their internal blueprint once again. It is also why many self-made millionaires who lose everything manage to rebuild their wealth relatively quickly. Their internal blueprint says, "I am someone who creates wealth." So even when the external circumstances are devastating, their subconscious mind gets to work rebuilding, because that is what the blueprint demands. So the first and most critical step in transforming your financial life is not learning a new investment strategy or finding a higher-paying job. The first step is rewriting the wealth blueprint in your subconscious mind. And I am going to give you a very specific, very practical technique to do exactly that. Every day, twice a day, once in the morning, within 5 minutes of waking up, and once at night, in those golden minutes before sleep, I want you to repeat 2 words, just 2: wealth, success. Say them slowly. Say them with feeling. Say them as if you are savoring a delicious meal. Wealth. Let the word roll around in your mouth. Feel what it means. Not just the money, but the freedom, the security, the possibilities, the peace of mind. Success. Feel the satisfaction, the pride, the sense of accomplishment, the knowledge that you built something meaningful. Repeat these 2 words for 5 minutes each time. That is it. No complicated ritual, no expensive seminar, just 2 words spoken with genuine emotion, directly into the open doorway of your subconscious mind during the 2 most powerful windows of the day. Now, I know some of you are thinking that sounds too simple. 2 words? Really? That is going to change my financial life. And I understand that skepticism. But remember what we learned about the subconscious mind. It does not need complicated instructions. It needs clear, emotionally charged, consistently repeated ones. And these 2 words, wealth and success, are among the most powerful financial commands you can give to your subconscious crew. When you repeat these words with genuine feeling, you are not just making sounds. You are rewriting the code. You are overriding decades of programming that said money is scarce and hard to get. You are replacing the blueprint that said you are not the kind of person who becomes wealthy. You are installing a new operating instruction that says abundance is natural, wealth is available, and I am worthy of financial success. Let me tell you about a man named Victor. Victor ran a small home renovation business in a mid-sized city. He had 4 employees, a cramped office, and enough work to keep the lights on, but never enough to feel comfortable. He had been operating at roughly the same income level for 7 years. He was stuck, and he knew it, but he could not figure out why. He worked harder than anyone he knew. He was skilled at his craft. His customers loved him. So why was the business not growing? The answer was in his subconscious. Victor grew up in a household where his father worked himself to exhaustion every day and still came home looking worried about bills. His mother clipped coupons and stretched every dollar until it screamed. The message Victor absorbed deeply and permanently was that hard work leads to survival, not prosperity. That money is always barely enough. That wanting more is somehow ungrateful or unrealistic. So even though Victor consciously wanted to grow his business, his subconscious mind was silently, invisibly, relentlessly keeping him at the survival level. Because that is what the blueprint said. That is what felt normal. That is what felt safe. When Victor learned about the wealth blueprint concept, he was resistant at first. He was a practical man, a builder. He worked with his hands, not with his thoughts. But something about it nagged at him, so he decided to try the two-word technique. Every morning before he left for job sites, he sat in his truck for 5 minutes and repeated wealth and success. Every night before bed, same thing. He felt foolish at first. He kept doing it anyway. 3 weeks in, Victor noticed something strange. He was sitting in his office looking at a job estimate he had written up for a kitchen renovation. He had quoted his standard rate, the same rate he had been charging for years. And for the first time, he looked at that number and thought, I am undercharging. Not as a fleeting idea, as a conviction. He felt it in his gut. He rewrote the estimate, raising his price by 35%. His hands were actually shaking when he sent it. His old programming was screaming at him, they will never pay that. You are going to lose the job. Who do you think you are? The client accepted the estimate without negotiation. They did not even flinch. That moment cracked something open inside Victor. Over the next several months, he raised his prices across the board. He started marketing his business as a premium service. He hired 2 more employees. He moved to a bigger office. By the end of the year, his revenue had doubled, not because the market changed, not because he suddenly became more skilled, because his wealth blueprint changed. His subconscious mind received new orders, and it adjusted his behavior, his confidence, his pricing, his standards, and his expectations accordingly. Now, I want to address something that is going to be uncomfortable for some of you, but it is absolutely essential that we talk about it, because this might be the single biggest thing that is blocking wealth from flowing into your life. How do you feel about rich people? Not what you say publicly, not the polite, politically correct answer. I mean, deep down, in the privacy of your own mind, when you see someone driving a luxury car, living in a beautiful home, traveling first class, dining at expensive restaurants, what do you actually feel? If you are being honest, and I really need you to be honest here, many of you feel some combination of resentment, jealousy, suspicion, and judgment. You might think things like, they probably inherited that money. They probably exploited people to get where they are. They are probably shallow and materialistic. Must be nice to have rich parents. Or the classic, money cannot buy happiness, said with a thinly veiled bitterness that reveals exactly how you really feel about people who have what you do not. Here is why this matters so much. Your subconscious mind is always listening. Always. And when it hears you consistently associating wealth with negative qualities, dishonesty, greed, exploitation, shallowness, it makes a very logical conclusion. Wealth is bad. Wealthy people are bad. Therefore, to protect you from becoming a bad person, I will make sure you never become wealthy. This is not a metaphor. This is literally how your subconscious mind operates. It is trying to protect you. It is trying to keep you consistent with your own value system. And if your value system, as expressed through your habitual thoughts and emotional reactions, says that wealth equals moral corruption, then your subconscious will actively, aggressively prevent you from accumulating wealth. It will sabotage your best opportunities. It will make you procrastinate on the things that would grow your income. It will create reasons to spend money you should be saving. It will keep you in a financial holding pattern that feels comfortable because it matches your blueprint. I have seen this pattern so many times, it is almost predictable. People who constantly criticize the wealthy are almost always struggling financially themselves. And people who admire, respect, and learn from the wealthy tend to move toward wealth themselves. This is not a coincidence. It is the subconscious mind doing exactly what it has been programmed to do. So here is what I need you to do. And this might be one of the most important shifts you make in your entire financial life. The next time you see someone who is wealthy and successful, instead of judgment, try blessing them. I know that sounds strange, but try it. Instead of thinking they probably cheated their way to the top, think good for them. They figured something out. I can learn from them. Instead of resenting their nice car, think that is inspiring. One day I will have something like that, and I will enjoy it without guilt. Instead of assuming they are bad people, assume they are people who understood something about wealth creation that you have not learned yet. When you bless wealth in others, you are telling your subconscious mind that wealth is good, that wealthy people are admirable, that you want to be like them. And your subconscious mind receives that instruction and begins steering your ship toward financial abundance instead of away from it. This is one of the most counterintuitive principles in the entire realm of personal development, but it is also one of the most powerful. The more genuinely happy you can be for other people's success, the faster success will come to you, because your subconscious mind does not distinguish between you and them. When you celebrate someone else's wealth, your subconscious hears you celebrating wealth itself. And it says, "Understood, the captain wants wealth. Let us create more of that." Now let me give you another practical technique that takes this to the next level. This one is a bit more involved than the two-word technique, but it is extraordinarily effective for building deep wealth consciousness. Find a quiet room where you will not be disturbed. Sit in a comfortable position. Close your eyes and relax your body completely. Take a few slow breaths until you feel calm and centered. And then repeat the following statement slowly with feeling, letting each phrase sink in before moving to the next. I love money, and money loves me. It flows into my life easily and abundantly. I use it wisely, generously, and with gratitude. I am a magnet for financial opportunities. Money comes to me from expected and unexpected sources. I am worthy of wealth. I am capable of creating wealth. I release any guilt or shame I have ever felt about wanting to be prosperous. I celebrate the success of others because their success reminds me of what is possible for me. I am grateful for the abundance that is already in my life, and I am excited for the abundance that is on its way. Say this once through slowly, then say it again and again, 3 to 5 times in a single sitting. Feel the words. Do not just think them. Feel them in your body. Let them warm your chest. Let them relax your shoulders. Let them soften the tension in your jaw that you did not even know was there. Do this once a day for 30 days. Combine it with the two-word technique, morning and night, and watch what begins to happen. Not just in your bank account, though that will change too. Watch what happens in your mind. Watch how your attitude toward money shifts. Watch how you start noticing opportunities that were always there, but that your old blueprint made invisible. Watch how your confidence in financial conversations grows. Watch how you stop apologizing for wanting a prosperous life. And here is the thing that always amazes me. When you change your internal relationship with money, the external changes often come from directions you never anticipated. Victor did not expect that simply feeling worthy of higher prices would be the key that unlocked his business growth. You will not be able to predict exactly how your financial shift will manifest either. Maybe you will get a raise you did not expect. Maybe a business idea will suddenly crystallize in your mind. Maybe someone will offer you a partnership. Maybe an investment opportunity will appear at exactly the right moment. Maybe you will simply stop wasting money on things that do not serve you and start channeling it toward things that do. Your subconscious mind is infinitely creative. When you give it clear instructions about what you want, it does not limit itself to the obvious paths. It explores every possible route, many of which your conscious mind could never even conceive of, and it guides you toward the one that fits your unique situation best. But none of that can happen if your subconscious is running an old program that says wealth is for other people, money is evil, or I do not deserve to be rich. So let me ask you directly, and I want you to sit with this question for a moment before you answer. Do you believe at the deepest level of your being that you deserve to be wealthy? Not that you want to be wealthy. Everyone wants that. But do you believe you deserve it? Do you believe it is your right as a human being to live in abundance? Do you believe that prosperity and goodness can coexist? That you can be rich and kind, successful and generous, wealthy and honest? If the answer is not an immediate, full-bodied, no hesitation yes, then you have found the work that needs to be done, and the techniques in this section are exactly the tools to do it. Your relationship with money is not about math. It is not about spreadsheets and budgets, although those have their place. It is about the program running in the deepest part of your mind. Change the program, and the numbers will follow. They always do. One more thing before we move on. I want to plant a thought in your mind like a seed that I hope will grow into something powerful over the coming weeks and months. You are not chasing money. Money is energy. It is a tool. It is a resource that allows you to do more good, experience more beauty, help more people, and live more fully. When you pursue wealth from a place of love, generosity, and service, rather than from fear, desperation, and scarcity, money flows toward you like water flowing downhill. It becomes effortless, not because you stop working hard, but because the work stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like an expression of who you really are. The wealth is already there. It always has been. You just need to let your subconscious mind know that you are ready to receive it. And starting tonight, that is exactly what you are going to do. Part 6. Love, Youth, and the Life You Were Born to Live. Attracting ideal relationships, plus the secret to staying forever young, plus inspiring examples through history, plus the complete summary, plus a powerful closing. We have covered so much ground together. You now understand what the subconscious mind is, how it works, how to reprogram it, how it heals the body, and how it shapes your financial reality. But there are 2 more areas of life where the subconscious mind plays an absolutely crucial role that we need to explore before we bring everything together. The first is your relationships, and the second might surprise you. It is your age. Let us start with relationships, because no matter how much money you have, no matter how successful your career is, no matter how healthy your body is, if your intimate relationships are broken, if you feel lonely, misunderstood, or stuck with the wrong person, none of those other achievements will feel like they matter. Deep down, human beings are wired for connection. We need it, not as a luxury, as a necessity. And the quality of the connection you experience in your closest relationships is, like everything else we have discussed, profoundly influenced by what is stored in your subconscious mind. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever noticed a pattern in your relationships? Maybe you keep attracting the same type of person. Maybe every partner starts out wonderful and then slowly reveals the same frustrating qualities. Maybe you always end up feeling like you're giving more than you receive. Maybe you keep choosing people who are emotionally unavailable or controlling or unfaithful, and you cannot understand why you keep making the same mistake. Here is the uncomfortable truth. It is not a mistake. It is a program. Your subconscious mind is attracting people who match the blueprint it is running. If your blueprint says, "I am not worthy of real love," your subconscious will steer you toward people who confirm that belief. If your blueprint says, "All men are untrustworthy," or "all women are manipulative," your subconscious will filter your perception so that you only notice the people and behaviors that validate that belief while completely overlooking the evidence that contradicts it. Your relationships are not happening to you. They are being created by you, by the deepest, most hidden part of your mind. So how do you change the pattern? How do you attract the kind of relationship that actually nourishes you? The same way you change anything in your subconscious, through clear, emotionally charged, consistently repeated instructions. If you are looking for a life partner, here is a technique that is remarkably effective. Every night before sleep, in that golden window, when your subconscious is most receptive, close your eyes and describe your ideal partner to your subconscious mind. Not their physical appearance, their qualities, their character, the way the relationship feels. You might say something like this: "I am attracting a person who is kind, honest, loyal, and emotionally mature. Someone who respects me and whom I deeply respect. Someone who supports my growth and whose growth I support. We communicate openly and honestly. We laugh together. We face challenges as a team. There is deep trust between us. There is genuine admiration. There is a feeling of peace and safety that I have never experienced before. I deserve this love, and I am ready to receive it." Say it slowly. Feel each quality as you describe it. Do not just list traits like a shopping list. Imagine what it would actually feel like to be in a relationship with this person. Feel the warmth, feel the security, feel the joy. Let those feelings flood your body as you drift toward sleep. Now, here is a critical point that many people miss. This technique does not just work for attracting a new partner. It works for transforming an existing relationship as well. If you are already in a committed partnership, you can use the same principle to reshape the dynamic between you. Instead of lying in bed cataloging everything your partner does wrong, which is what most of us do, and which instructs your subconscious to create more of those negative experiences, try a radically different approach. Close your eyes and picture your partner as you want them to be. See them smiling. See them being affectionate. See them communicating calmly during a disagreement. See the two of you sharing a beautiful moment together, laughing at something silly, cooking a meal, walking hand in hand. When you hold this positive image of your partner in your subconscious mind, something almost magical begins to happen. You start treating them differently, not because you are faking it, but because your perception of them has shifted. You start noticing the good things they do that you had been overlooking. You respond to them with more warmth and patience. And because human relationships are mirrors, when you show up differently, they start showing up differently too. The relationship transforms from the inside out, not through arguments, ultimatums, or couples therapy worksheets, but through the quiet, invisible work of reprogramming your subconscious blueprint for love. Now let us shift to something that everyone thinks about, but very few people understand at a deep level. Aging, getting older, losing your vitality, your energy, your sharpness, your zest for life. Most people treat aging as an inevitable decline, a slow, steady march toward weakness, irrelevance, and death. And because they believe that story so deeply, their subconscious mind faithfully creates exactly that experience for them. But what if that story is wrong? What if aging is not what you think it is? Here is a statement that might challenge everything you have assumed about getting older. You are as young as you believe yourself to be. Not as young as your birth certificate says. Not as young as your joints feel on a cold morning. As young as you believe yourself to be. Because your subconscious mind, which as we have established controls virtually every biological process in your body, including cellular regeneration, takes its cues from your beliefs about yourself. And if you believe you are old, tired, declining, and past your prime, your subconscious will instruct your body to become exactly that. But if you believe you are vibrant, capable, full of purpose, and far from finished, your subconscious will instruct your body to maintain vitality, energy, and health, far beyond what most people consider possible. Let me share some examples that prove this point so powerfully that you will never think about age the same way again. There was a surgeon in London who continued performing complex operations well into his 80s. He saw patients every afternoon and spent his evenings writing detailed articles for medical journals. When someone asked him about retirement, he looked at them as if they had said something absurd. Why would I stop? I am more useful now than I have ever been. My hands are steady. My mind is sharp. I have 80 years of knowledge to draw on. These young surgeons should be so lucky. He did not see himself as old. He saw himself as seasoned, experienced, and at the peak of his usefulness. And his body matched that belief. The playwright George Bernard Shaw was actively writing and creating at the age of 90. Not casually, not as a hobby, actively, productively, with the same fire and wit that had defined his career decades earlier. When journalists asked him how he stayed so sharp, he said something along the lines of, "I do not allow my mind to retire. As long as the mind is alive, the body follows." Consider the Roman statesman Cato, who decided to learn Greek at the age of 80, not because he needed to, because he wanted to, because he believed that learning was a lifelong pursuit and that 80 was not a deadline, but a beginning. His subconscious mind, receiving the instruction that he was a man who was still growing, still learning, still expanding, kept his cognitive functions remarkably intact. There was a German-American musician named Madame Schumann-Heink who reached the absolute pinnacle of her musical career after becoming a grandmother, not before, after. While most people her age were settling into quiet retirement, She was performing on the world's greatest stages, receiving standing ovations, and being celebrated as one of the finest voices of her generation. The philosopher Socrates, one of the most brilliant minds in human history, learned to play a musical instrument when he was 80 years old. Michelangelo created what many art historians consider his greatest painting when he was 80. The poet Alfred Lord Tennyson wrote what many literary scholars consider his finest work at 83. Isaac Newton was still doing rigorous scientific work at 85. The historian Leopold von Ranke began writing his comprehensive history of the world in his 80s and completed it at 92. These are not anomalies. These are people who refuse to accept the cultural story that aging means decline. They held a different belief in their subconscious mind, a belief that said, I am useful, I am capable, I am creative, I have more to contribute. And their subconscious mind responded to that belief by maintaining their physical and mental faculties at a level that astounded everyone around them. Now, here is what I want you to take from these examples. It is not just about living longer. It is about living fully for as long as you are alive. So many people stop living decades before they actually die. They stop dreaming at 30. They stop growing at 40. They stop believing in possibility at 50. And by 60, they are just waiting, existing, going through the motions of a life that lost its spark years ago. That does not have to be you. It will not be you if you understand what we have discussed today and apply it. Your subconscious mind does not have an expiration date. It does not slow down because you turn 50 or 60 or 70. It slows down when you tell it to slow down. When you stop giving it dreams to pursue. When you stop feeding it visions of a vibrant future. When you replace wonder and ambition with resignation and nostalgia. The secret to staying young is not in a bottle, not in a supplement, not in a surgery. It is in your mind. Keep dreaming. Keep learning. Keep believing that your best days are ahead of you, not behind you. Give your subconscious mind the instruction that you are vital, relevant, growing, and alive. And it will keep your body and mind in a state that matches those instructions for far longer than you ever thought possible. Now let us bring everything together, because we have covered an enormous amount of ground, and I want to make sure the core message is crystal clear in your mind as we close this out. Here's what we know. You have two minds working within one brain. The conscious mind thinks, evaluates, and chooses. The subconscious mind accepts, creates, and executes. The conscious mind is the captain. The subconscious mind is the crew. Whatever the captain orders, the crew delivers, no questions asked. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. It does not judge thoughts as good or bad, true or false, possible or impossible. It simply takes whatever is given to it and works tirelessly to make it your reality. Every thought you think is a seed planted in the garden of your subconscious mind. Seeds of fear grow into a life of anxiety and limitation. Seeds of confidence grow into a life of courage and expansion. Seeds of scarcity grow into a life of financial struggle. Seeds of abundance grow into a life of prosperity and generosity. The most powerful times to plant these seeds are the moments right before sleep and right after waking, when the critical gatekeeper of your conscious mind is at its weakest and the doorway to your subconscious is wide open. Repetition is the key. One affirmation said once is a whisper. The same affirmation said with emotion, twice a day, for 21 days or more, is a thundering command that your subconscious cannot ignore. Your subconscious mind has the power to heal your body, attract wealth, create fulfilling relationships, solve your most complex problems, and keep you vibrant and young for decades longer than you thought possible. But it can only do these things if you give it the right instructions. The placebo effect is not a medical curiosity. It is proof that belief alone can trigger healing. If a sugar pill can lower blood pressure because a patient believes it will, imagine what deliberate, sustained, emotionally charged belief can do for every area of your life. Your relationship with money is not about math. It is about the blueprint stored in your subconscious. Change the blueprint and the numbers change. Bless wealth in others and you invite wealth into your own life. Condemn wealth and you push it away. Your relationships mirror the beliefs you hold about love, worthiness, and connection. Change the internal blueprint and the external relationship transforms. Your age is a number. Your vitality is a belief. The people who stay vibrant and productive into their 80s and 90s are not genetically gifted. They are subconsciously programmed to keep living fully. And underneath all of these specific applications, there is one single principle that holds everything together. One line that captures the entire message of everything we have explored today. Whatever you consistently hold in your subconscious mind is what you become in life. That is it. That is the whole book. That is the whole philosophy. That is the master key that unlocks every door. If you hold fear, you become fearful. If you hold confidence, you become confident. If you hold scarcity, you become poor. If you hold abundance, you become wealthy. If you hold unworthiness, you attract relationships that confirm it. If you hold self-respect, you attract relationships that honor it. If you hold decline, you age rapidly. If you hold vitality, you stay young. Your subconscious mind is the most powerful tool you have ever been given. It is more sophisticated than any technology, more reliable than any strategy, more creative than any genius. And it is entirely, completely, unconditionally at your service. It has been waiting your entire life for you to take the wheel, to step up to the bridge, to become the captain you were always meant to be. So here is my challenge to you, not a suggestion, a challenge. Tonight, when you lie down in bed, before you reach for your phone, before you turn on the television, before you let the noise of the world fill the sacred space of your mind, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and give your subconscious mind one clear, powerful, emotionally charged command. The one thing you want most. The one dream that has been sitting in the back of your mind, quiet and patient, waiting for you to take it seriously. Say it out loud if you can. Whisper it if you must. But say it with conviction. Say it as if it is already true. Feel it in your bones. See it behind your closed eyelids. Let it be the last thought in your mind as you drift off to sleep. And then do it again tomorrow night, and the night after, and the night after that, for 21 nights, then 30, then 60, then make it a permanent part of who you are. Because here's what I believe about you. I believe you found this content today for a reason, not by accident, not randomly. Something inside you, maybe that faithful crew in the engine room of your subconscious mind, guided you here because it was time to wake up, Time to stop sleepwalking through your own life. Time to stop accepting a reality that is so far beneath what you are actually capable of creating. You have the power. You have always had the power. The treasure was never out there somewhere. It was never in someone else's hands. It was never dependent on luck or circumstances or timing. The treasure has been inside you this entire time, buried in the vast, magnificent, infinitely powerful landscape of your subconscious mind, waiting for you to discover it, waiting for you to claim it, waiting for you to use it. So use it. Start tonight. Start now. Do not wait for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment is always now. Do not wait until you understand everything, because understanding deepens through practice, not theory. Do not wait until you believe it completely, because belief grows through repetition, and the first repetition is always the hardest. Just start. Plant one seed. Give one command. Take one step toward the life that your subconscious mind has been ready to build for you since the day you were born. You deserve it. You are worthy of it, and most importantly, you are capable of it. Whatever you consistently hold in your subconscious mind is what you become in life. So hold something beautiful. Hold something powerful. Hold something worthy of the extraordinary person you already are. And then watch what happens.